Welcome to Land Academy. This is the cash flow from land show, where we show you how to buy unwanted vacant land and sell it for more on the internet. I'm Steve Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We are your hosts. With over 15,000 completed transactions, we are the experts in this niche land flipping business.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com. All right, let's get this show started.
Steve Butala and Jill DeWit here. Welcome to the Cash Flow from Land Show. Our guest today, Stephen Shallenberger. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to be on your show.
Excellent. Thank you. Steve has more than 40 years of experience as a successful business owner, trusted senior executive, top-rated speaker, and the #1 best-selling author. He's best known for his fun, enthusiastic, and engaging personality. I'm afraid, Jill, to what we're known for. Steve has consolidated 40 years of success and leadership research into the national best-selling book, Becoming Your Best: The 12 Principles of Highly Successful Leaders. Leaders from around the world have raved about the impact and transformation their teams and organizations have experienced by using the tools and processes found in this book. As a young entrepreneur, Steve built numerous organizations from the ground up. He has successfully led companies in 3 different industries, and he's keen understanding of how to thrive in business. During his formative years, he continued his education at the Harvard Business School. He also worked many years with Steve Covey, as a senior leader and trusted member of his board of directors. Steve and his team helped Covey start the First Things First training and time management seminars. Steve served as a president at the Brigham Young University Alumni Association. He was a charter member and chair of the Utah chapter of Young Presidents Organization. I remember that, YPO. Yep. And is actively involved in the World Presidents Organization, WPO. Welcome. Thank you so much, Steve.
Hey, thank you. Glad you're here.
Hey, it's great to be here. Looking forward to our visit.
Boy, so this is a pretty impressive bio. Most of the bios, they're the people that we have in the show, they don't have anything going on in their life like this at all. No history at all.
Right, whatever.
How long is your signature line, Stephen? I gotta ask.
It's long.
Okay.
Yeah, I told Steve as we had the chance to visit just briefly before, Shallenberger is a great name. It's a Swiss-German name. But I have been seriously considering changing it to Garcia.
I love it.
A little more simple, easier to say, spell.
Smith is good also.
That's exactly what I said. If he changes his name, I'm changing mine to Smith.
Great.
So, Steve, that's quite an impressive background. I'd love what stuck out to me is the companies that you've started. Can you give us a little summary on those, or one of them your favorite, let's say?
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you, since you folks are in a great business, the Land Academy type business of building a business around land and real estate. Well, when I was a young man, that's actually how I started out. I was raised in Northern California, a place called Vallejo, and which was pretty much a blue-collar town, naval shipyard. There were 8 of us that lived in a 900-square-foot home, and we were pretty poor. So my first job was in an Italian restaurant, and then when I was 16, I became involved with a man by the name of David Conger, and he was a real estate broker, and he had 5 very successful real estate offices in Northern California. And he was really my first mentor. Through the experiences I had with him, I went through an enormous transformation and change, not unlike many of your listeners go through when you have a new way to see things and you see new hope and new opportunities. And so that's what happened with me. Mr. Conger is wonderful. He started encouraging me to read books. And eventually, when I was 26, started my first I went to school, graduated in accounting, and had some sales jobs selling books door to door. Well, when I was 26, organized my first marketing company and bought a publishing company when I was 27 and we sold those products all over the United States. So that's how I got started. Later, had the good fortune to organize a energy services company, and that is primarily operates in California. Has been operating for close to 35 years now in the energy efficiency space. Then one of my college professors was Dr. Covey, Stephen R. Covey, and he was such an icon. He served on my board for 17 years, and then when he started his company, I was fortunate to serve on his board for 5 years, and then he released a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this got me onto the pathway of really thinking about, well, what causes outstanding individuals to be great at what they do? What sets them apart from everybody else? And so that was my passion. Everybody has a passion, and I loved organizing companies and running companies, but especially is this thought of what causes somebody to be set apart from someone else in being successful. And so I began a research that took a number of decades. And what I found as I interviewed over 150 CEOs and studied the lives of hundreds of individuals, as certain things started popping out that they did. And what I was looking for were the common factors of success. And that's ultimately what I put in my book. So that gives you just a little nutshell background of some of the jobs and companies that I've started. But I love the industry that you're in. It's a wonderful industry.
Thank you so much. Our base of listeners, I can read their minds right now. They want to know what does set them apart, or what sets people apart from being successful.
Well, okay, that's a great question. And so some of the things that I've seen, and one of a way to describe what we've seen is that great leaders produce great results. And so sometimes you'll see an organization that is faltering, but if you can take a great leader and put them in that organization, I guarantee you it's going to turn around. You're going to see an organization that becomes more successful. It's because the defining difference is in the great leader. And so your question is right on, is what makes great leaders? Well, they do certain things. And this is what allows them to make the difference. So some of those things we've identified would be things that your listeners, and especially the ones that have been able to apply what you teach them, become successful. One of the things they have is character. That's of the 12 principles of highly successful leaders that we put into the book. Number one is be true to character. If we can get the honesty and integrity part down, then we can be successful in all of the rest. But if we fail and falter in that area, then our success will be short-lived. And I'm sure that's one of the very first things that you talk about, because it's integrity that builds a high level of trust that allows a person to build a rock-solid relationship with other people. And when you have a high level of trust with people, the word gets around. They've done business with you. And other people say, well, hey, I heard you were talking with so-and-so, and you took care of me and treated me well, and I'd like to hear about what you can do for me. So this is one of them. There's others that I'd be delighted to talk about, because as your listeners and you and I apply these things, they lift the standard of performance. Mm-hmm. And when the standard of performance is lifted, it actually gives us, if we do certain things, a greater confidence, mm-hmm. a greater peace, a greater creativity in the things that we do. So, for example, another one of those would be to lead with a vision. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that the people that you work with have dreams, and that they want to do well. They want to be self-sufficient. They may want to get out of maybe being where they've been at, and they think they can do a lot better. And so it's this vision that helps define the direction. And that is where all transformation really begins, is with the vision. And so as they start dreaming that I can do better, then they combine that with some of the other principles that we teach. One of the other principles is to apply the power of knowledge. Well, this is where you come in, because from your experience, if you can get somebody that has a vision, that wants to do better, that's willing to work hard, that's going to have honesty and integrity, and wants to help people live better lives, then they can gain the knowledge once they choose the field that they want to be in and become the best at what they do in that field. So in Becoming Your Best, the book, we would teach that person what you would get out of it. In other words, is how to develop that vision, how to make it so it's passionate. You would get how to develop a plan so that you can minimize your risk but maximize your return. And then again, that's where you come in, because part of that will be gaining the knowledge of how to do it. So I've just talked about 2 or 3 of the items, but I had one friend, we were working with a large regional bank, very successful regional bank. And I was visiting with the executive VP, and he said, you know, people are looking for that single bullet of leadership. He said, but, you know, there's not really a single bullet of silver bullet of leadership. He said, it's a number of things that come together that help me create an excellence. And that is what helps me get to a better place in life. Well, that's what we do here, is we talk about the things that you could apply that help you do that.
You know, most of the people that work for us, I think they might have the dream to work for a better place than Land Academy.
You're so silly.
No, it's
you're pretty funny.
Now that I've planted that in their head, everybody's scrambling to go do other stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's the basic foundation. This is what I tell all of our new members, some version of this. You always have to remember that you're dealing with people. There's real estate involved. Yes, there's transaction and money and some things, but it's not going to end well if you don't keep in mind that there's a real seller on the other end, there's a real buyer on the other end, and there's people that are working for you. So I think that's great advice, and I completely agree with what you're saying.
Great job.
You know,
Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
I have a question, Stephen. How much of it is just not being afraid and having the confidence? Because I swear there's a lot of what got me to where I am in just like, I'm going to go for it. I'm not afraid of it. I'm going to learn. I'm going to make some mistakes, and I'm going to forge forward.
Well, that's a terrific point that you bring up, which is, how do we develop this motivation? How do we develop the courage?
Yes.
To move forward? And I think this can be illustrated by a research study that I saw recently. It says the average person has been told no 140,000 times by the time they're 18 years old.
Wow.
In other words, no, we can't do it. No, that's not the way we do it. No, our family, we're not made that way. And so just imagine that. What happens is, with time, people start believing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like you bring up, is you just have to be determined to break through that barrier and say, hold it. I need to change the story that's in my mind that I'm thinking about, because believe me, I have yet to meet a person that couldn't do better,
mm-hmm.
that wasn't able to achieve more greatly than they thought possible. And as they started thinking about the possibilities, as I mentioned earlier, that's when you start having the transition. So one of the things that our listeners can get as they work on these principles that certainly apply in your business and to those that work with you, that help them be among the best at what they do. And that is breaking through this barrier and of creating a success mindset. And so there's a few things that we talk about and becoming your best that helps you do that. So, for example, one of my very favorite quotes is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it is, sow a thought and you reap an act. Sow an action and you reap a habit. Yeah. Sow a habit and you reap a character, and sow a character and you reap a destiny. So where does it all start? Well, it all starts with the thoughts. And we have to break through these barriers of saying, hold it, I can do this. So what are the possibilities? And so one of the things you can do is positive self-talk. Just absolutely reject the negative thinking. You know, one of the things we did with our marketing company so many years ago, we had about 700 sales reps. They were primarily they were college students. They'd be assigned all over the United States. And so this is door to door. Once they get out there, they're on their own. And so how do you build this steely motivation to break through the barriers and fight back against the whole world, you know, which appears a lot overwhelming and negative at times? So we'd teach them a positive self-talk, which was this: I feel healthy, I feel happy, and I feel terrific.
I love it.
Well, the body is very obedient, and you may not feel that way at first. You may look in the mirror and say, "You liar."
Exactly.
But the more you say it 10 times or 20, and the endorphins get released, and pretty soon you feel different. We do this in large seminars all over. We'll have people stand up and say it. And at the end of 3 times, you'll look around the entire room, and the entire room is laughing. The energy is contagious. Something changed. Well, this happens with us as individuals. Another thing, just a brief set of things that you can do to break through, is have positive self-affirmations. And people say, okay, well, what do those look like? Such as, today I will have a great day. Well, these are words that you actually read and reaffirm to yourself. Those are found in your vision. Mm-hmm. And so you want to have a vision that points to the direction, that speaks in a present tense, and that's what we start becoming, just like Ralph Waldo Emerson said. A couple of other things is just smile. Make it a point to smile wherever you go. Steve illustrated this and talking about, as you work with people, they feel your spirit, and you can lift people, and this strengthens a relationship. And the last one is just totally reject negative thinking. I mean, it's natural, it's going to happen, but they don't help us for one single minute. For every minute that somebody is angry or cross or distracted, it's 60 seconds you can't be productive and positive and happy.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I believe all of that. And it's funny, you don't think about it sometimes because it just becomes second nature, but I have a similar, I have kind of a mantra going in my head all the time, and you're right. It really makes a difference, and it's good to take a step back and talk to you and be reminded this is something that we should be sharing, because it really does spread. It's really good.
I think inspiration is and motivation. That's one of the reasons that Jill and I decided to do this together, because she provides inspiration and motivation part, and I provide more the informational and instruction part. And without those two things, it's pretty unlikely that you can pretty seriously succeed.
So, well, that's a dynamic team right there.
Thank you. Hey, I have a quick question too, though. Did you guys ever talk about nature versus nurture? I'm sure it came up a lot. I mean, and we go back and forth with this all the time. And I'm a fan that you can change things. Like you said, you start down that path, but how much of us are predisposed to have this come more naturally to us than others?
Well, there's no question that our backgrounds can have a big impact on our lives. So, some people have more obstacles and more challenges, but I'll tell you, I have had the chance to just meet with too many people that have had overwhelming adversities and nature, raised in the ghetto. I interviewed not long ago a fellow by the name of Ron Williams. Ron was a 7-time Mr. Universe. I mean, you should have seen the pictures of Ron.
That's going to say, what's he look like? Yep.
I was intimidated just to see those pictures. Ron was raised in the hood, in the very toughest part of town in Indianapolis, and he said virtually all of his friends are either in jail today or dead.
Oh.
And he said, but I was able to lift myself out of that circumstance. And so, Jill, your question is so spot on, because that gets down to the very heart of becoming your best. It is something that is within each one of us, and we can feel it. And so it's not something that's reserved just for the wealthy, just for those that have, these lucky backgrounds. As we master each of these principles that people throughout hundreds of years have done, they can raise themselves to reach their dreams. And so I love that question. And I'll just tell you, I have rarely seen an exception to it. It gets down to just going to work on it. And, for example, prioritizing your time. You talked about, Steve, the idea of having a motivational spirit, a mindset, and also having the knowledge. What a tremendous compliment to one another. They're both important. We call that mindset, having the right mindset, but also having the skill set. So as people work on things, they get better and better. And once they understand that it's just an issue of working on it, one day they will wake up and be a different person. They'll be a little better. One of the principles that I observed of highly successful leaders is they treat people right. They live the golden rule. And the very fact that they start shifting how they treat people raises their level of success. It's just a magical thing, because people want to be around them. And then they start saying, hold it, I want to serve people because it helps them. And now they start having the right motivation, and they start building their income. They start doing better at what they're doing. And once again, I love your industry and what you're doing, because it's one that really can make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I chose this industry a lot of years ago because it's versus starting a large company or a company at all. It's so easy to get educated and do one deal and then two and then three while you're still having while you still have a regular job, and then moving forward that way. It's very, with the right mindset and the right motivation, it's very attainable for people who are motivated to get involved. I think it's amazing that there are certain people you can just throw anything at them and it makes them stronger. It's not, you just described somebody like that, and it's a treat to be around those people. We have a handful of members who have just really, really exceeded way further than I ever thought would be possible in a pretty short amount of time. And I think that they just they either came to us with a ton of motivation, or they just with the right mindset, or all of it. But it just makes me proud.
Yeah, that is very exciting. That is something that people start believing in themselves. They may have been knocked in the ditch a few times. The last of the 12 principles is never give up.
Yeah.
Because all of us have adversity. All of us get knocked down. But the prize really goes to the one who keeps getting back up.
Yeah, it sounds trite, but I have to say it. Rocky Balboa said it best. It's not how hard you hit, it's how well you take the hits and keep coming back.
How true. Yeah, we ask all the time, okay, everybody, what's the opposite of success? What do you think, Steve and Jill? Yell it out.
Indifference.
Well, you're probably right.
Not trying hard enough. I don't know.
That's probably right, too. Everybody says failure.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not right, because really failure is what helps us learn and how to improve. It's exactly what you said. The opposite of success is not getting back up.
Yep.
And that's when the surprise and the chemistry and the magic takes place, is when you keep getting back up. and you think you might not be able to, but you can. And that is the winner's circle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Great to speak with you today, Steve. Thank you so much. Where can we find you on the internet?
Okay, yeah, you can go to becomingyourbest.com.
Excellent.
And I'll just say one thing on there, Steve and Jill, that might be helpful to your listeners. We have a free service that it's extended to the entire world, and you can share it with your friends and your family. And as you go to our website, there's a place where you can put in your first name and your email, and what you will receive is a weekly email on one of the principles in becoming your best. And then the next week, another principle. And the third week, another principle. And what happens is it goes through the whole rotation. And the 13th week, you step back and say, well, how am I doing? And then they start again, so that what happens each year, you can go through each one 4 times. So 4 times 13 is 52, and you can pretty much do it forever. So people have found this to be an enormous resource. And then they also would receive a daily 1 or 2 line motivational thought that helps us keep up and stay on track of the things we want to do. So hopefully that's helpful.
I'm signing up right now, Stephen.
Well, what a delight. It's been so fun visiting with you, and cheers to you. You're doing so much good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We're having a lot of fun doing it, Steve. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, best to you.
Talk to you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye. Wow.
Talk about nice.
I'm speechless.
What a treat to get to just talk to him for a few minutes and just kind of be reminded of being on the right track.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to look at that stuff. That was really kind of all for me. I feel like, I mean, it's for, you know what I mean?
I do.
Because I'm like I like the mantra and that kind of thinking and stuff.
I think this world is full of inspirational people who are full of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not really full of any direction. What I like to think what we do here, we not only do we inspire you, but we show you exactly how to do it, make you laugh a little bit, and then actually give you the tools to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't. Yeah.
You're right.
Maybe it was for you.
No, it's perfect. Just what you said, and I appreciate that. I mean, he did talk about.
I have a lot of really negative thoughts, and I think they help me.
People.
I do.
Well,
if I only have positive thoughts, then how do I know they're positive? There's nothing to bang your head against the wall about it.
Stephen, I think that's what works for you, and we all look at things differently, and they're all okay. Sorry, no, I mean that.
I mean, do you really walk around just saying positive stuff your whole life, and then if something slips in your head negative, it's like, oh my God, I wasted 60 seconds?
Actually, I do.
No, come on, really?
Seriously.
Wow.
Haven't you?
I respect that.
How long have we been working together and everything?
It's been years. And
yeah.
I know you're super positive, but
mm-hmm.
I'm pretty positive in general. But mm-hmm. I don't have stuff hanging all over my office with motivational sayings on it either. I mean, you don't. I'm just all right. That's enough of that.
No, that's really good. And I love what he said too about what they learned is that everybody does need kind of a roadmap, and that's I think what you and I really bring to the table too. There's a lot of people that. They know they want to do this, they're inspired by it, they know real estate, whatever, but they're missing something. And then they find us, and they're like, oh, now I get it.
I'd like to think, and I hear people send me notes like this every day. Hey, you know what's cool about you guys is that you're not full of, We're not. We actually did it.
It's like Stephen has a fur ball.
I could use that. I was going to use an expletive, but I don't want to post-produce a bleep sound.
No.
It's too much work.
I like the fur ball. That's really good. So, hey, I appreciate I love having people from all different areas. And I had no idea he worked with Stephen Covey, and I think that was pretty darn cool. I mean, I think most of us have heard of those books, and it's cool. I've worked at jobs where years ago, they were handing out those books to everybody. They'd buy them in bulk.
Wow.
Seriously. And do that. It's good.
Gosh darn it, people like you. What was that Saturday Night Live quote? It's just like exactly
Oh, I
what
did
he
think
said.
of that. Stuart Smalley.
Yeah, Stuart Smalley.
And people like me or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't remember. We
I'm
we
good
should look.
enough, I'm strong enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. That's what I say to myself all the time.
That's Steven's mantra. I love it.
Did you ever see the one where he's doing it with Michael Jordan?
No.
Yeah, so Stuart Smalley's sitting there, and Stuart Smalley says, "I know you have tough days playing basketball." This is Michael Jordan,
Right.
And Michael, you're good enough at this, and you're strong enough, and people really do like you. Michael Jordan's just looking at the camera going,
What the heck? That's great. With his rings and his championship stuff. Yeah. I think I got this. That's really funny.
I guess he's never going to invite us on his show after this After Talk.
No, it was really good. No, I appreciate it. So I think he will.
I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
I appreciate it. It was very informative and helpful.
Thanks, Jill. Let's go buy some property. And gosh darn it, people like you.
We hold a drawing to win a free property every month. Enter to win by reviewing this show on iTunes and downloading our free ebook at landacademy.com.
If you want to get involved or you need more information about our profitable, niche real estate operation, call 480-467-0359. You just might get Jill at the other end of the line.
landacademy.com. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.